Foxy, baby. What's happening, mama?
Oscar.
I was born in Birmingham, Alabama. My parents moved us out to California because he wanted to enlarge our expectancies, our endeavors, our wishes. So he moved us to California, which I was very, very pleased about that. I went to grade school, went to high school, I went to college. I had a I went to LA Trade Tech College. I got a scholarship in track and field. And from that, I had a scholarship to Pepperdine. Went to University of Pepperdine. After 6 months of going there, I met this guy named William Cockrell, who worked on Hawaii Five-O show series. And he was telling me about, you're a pretty athletic guy. I've heard about you. And have you ever thought about becoming a stuntman? I said, no, I'm a stuntman. I said, no, but that sounds really interesting. He said, well, I know this guy named Paul Stater in Santa Monica who has a gym. And I want you to go out there and meet him. So I said, okay. So I met with him. We went out to Santa Monica. He introduced me to the veteran stuntman by the name of Paul Stater. He talked. He was glad to meet me because he had heard my accolades as an athlete as far as track and field is concerned. And so he told me about the business and he said, you probably make a great stuntman. And I said, wow. And he told me about his gym. He said, I tell you what, I'll give you 2 weeks. You go home and think about this. So I thought about this. I went home and I thought about it. I couldn't sleep at night. After 24 hours, I called him back the next day. I said, I want to take classes because I couldn't sleep all night last night. After 5.5 months of training, learning stunts from Mr. Paul Stater, I got my first job. My first interview was a movie called Beyond the Valley of Dolls. I got the job of doubling this actor by the name of James Englehart. My first stunt was to drive a car, hit a guy with the car. Bam! He flew on top of the hood. I stopped the car, got out the car, took him off the hood, threw him on the sidewalk, got back in the car, speeded off, round the corner. As I round the corner, I hit a curb, which I was supposed to. The car went up, I skied up on one side and went down and flopped down. I said, oh my God, thank you, Jesus. It was so great. They loved it. I got a big ovation. Everybody was clapping. So that's how I broke into the business. I got a picture in 1971 called Come Back Charleston Blue. I was taken to New York, and so I did almost all the stunts on the movie that was related to a black African American guy. So, and a friend of mine was up there with me, but he had to leave to go double somebody else. So I stayed in New York and doubled 8 guys myself. And the stunt coordinator evidently thought I did a fabulous job. Very comfortable doing the job. And then I came back to LA. And then I had a phone call from production that this director wanted to meet me, and his name was Jack Hill. And I didn't really know Jack Hill at the time at all. And so I was glad that I had a phone call because I just got into business in 1970, and that was about 1971. So I went down to the studio, and I think it was AIP Studios on Pico in Los Angeles. And I met Jack Hill. They said he had a project called Coffee. And my name had been mentioned by someone in production and asked me, was I interested? I said, sure, I'm interested, because as a black man at that time, I was a rookie and I hadn't been in the business very long anyway, but I had set some high examples. I had done some great shows that people took notice of as an up and coming stuntman. So I told Jack, he said, I tell you what, he says, take the script home, you read it, and you tell me what you think. I said, wow. So I was really excited. So I went home and I read the script. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I came back, I reported back to Jack, and he asked me some questions. He asked me how I liked the script, and I told him I loved it. And he named certain sequences and things that he wanted in the script, and could I present that to him? I said, yes, I can. I read the script and I love it. He said, and it's starring Pam Grier, and Pam Grier, I would like her to be one of the top action black superheroes. I want her to be my action queen. I said, Pam Grier, I said, oh my goodness, that is so wonderful. Because at the time, I really wasn't used to Afro-Americans having action scenes and actually shooting a guy, shooting the Caucasian guy where he's actually falling dead, and this guy is the one that's doing it, because we're so used to the Afro-Americans getting shot. The characters are playing the step-fletched roles, you know what I mean? And so I was really thrilled about that, you know? And so I said I would be more than happy to do this. And I said, he wanted Pam to look good. And I said, I would try my best to make her look good. And then he told me, he said, okay, you have the job. And so I got the job. I was just elated. I went home and I told my family I had the job. And just by meeting Jack himself, he was a very kind, soft gentleman that knew what he wanted, and it was up to me to get what he wanted. So I read the stuff with Pam Grier, and I said, man, she got to have a stunt double, because some of the action there was something that as an actress could not do. Although Pam was very athletic. I love Pam. She's very athletic. Not only beautiful, but she was very athletic, and she did a lot of her own stunts, but not the really hard stuff, because I let the stunt double do that. I knew this girl that I ride horses with. Her name was J.D. David. And J.D. David, she was a dead ringer for Pam as far as I was concerned. And I knew that she'd ride horses and she swim and she can do some fighting and stuff like that. So I brought her in. You know, somebody get bust side the head with a bottle or something like that, or a chair. You know, the stunt double would take that, and not Pam.
Oscar, what are you doing?
Shh, wait a second, just watch.
Foxy Brown. Foxy Brown, I love Foxy Brown. Yeah. I played the part of Oscar in Foxy Brown. I was one of the vigilante leaders that was opposed to drugs, dope, and stuff like that. And so I was also a very good friend of Pam's. And Foxy Brown was another show that we had numerous type stunts. And of course, J.D. Day was her stunt double. And we had Pam's double there at all times needed for any action type scenes.
Listen, Skinny, before you start talking tough, I better warn you, I got a black belt in karate. So why don't you get out of here quietly? You still got some teeth left in that ugly face.
And so in the movie Foxy Brown, she was in a lesbian bar, and she was seeking out her girlfriend. Anyway, the fight escalated from that point on. And actually, Pam had to fight about 3 or 4 gay girls in that movie. And her stunt double was there doing any kind of stunt that was dangerous, too dangerous. But Pam was very athletic, and she held her own. And she did very good. She busted a chair across somebody's face, broke a chair across somebody's back. I mean, it was a wonderful fight scene. She's very athletic, and that was the thing about it. And I only used the double in strategic parts where that was needed. But she held her own really nice.
Come on, let's check hats.
On the film Foxy Brown, I remember one of the funniest scenes to me was when Peter Brown was at a private airport. Okay, myself playing the part of Oscar. I was with Pam and some of my vigilante boys, and Pam's brother, her real brother, he was one of the characters in the movie also. And we approached Peter. He was the boyfriend of the lead. I should say, she was the lead woman that only had a prostitution ring, and that was her boyfriend, which she loved him very much. So by her loving him very much, and Pam knew this. So anyway, he was approached by Pam and myself, and he was looking at Pam, and Pam was looking at him, and Pam's brother drew a big knife out, and Pam shook her head to her brother, go ahead. And so he went toward his ding-a-ling with the knife, and you can imagine what he was doing, and it showed his face in agony, screaming, and evidently they cut his ding-a-ling off. And what happened was, when they got his ding-a-ling, cut it off, they put it in a pickle jar, and they gave it to Pam. And Pam went to his girlfriend's house and presented her with this bottle. And so I have something said, I have something for you. When Pam presented her with the bottle, with this ding-a-ling in it supposedly, she looked at it and she recognized it, and she screamed. When she screamed, the bottle dropped on the table, and you could see what appeared to be a neck. It was a big turkey neck. Well, I don't think it was that big. It was a little chicken neck. And so it slithered off the table. And of course, in reality, you figured that was his ding-a-ling. And I think that was one of the funniest parts that happened. And when it slithered off the table, it slithered and went by Pam's feet, and she hollered, "Ouch!" because it was just funny. That was one of the climax funny parts of the movie. Foxy Brown was a big hit. I loved it. And the thing about it, I was cast for parts in those movies, and I would walk around with my chest out, and people recognized me on the street. And but my main objective was to make Pam look good, and that was one of the things that I did my best to do. And she rewarded me with everything. She rewarded Jack. Everything she did was on screen, and was just absolutely wonderful. She had a wonderful stunt double that looks like her. And but like I said, Pam could do a lot of things herself, and she did a lot of things herself.
I can't see! This is gasoline!
You know it, motherfucker.
I can't see! Jesus! Help me!
Well, the thing about it is, during that time, the black films were beginning to come out, and a lot of African Americans was glad to get a black film on screen. And prior to that, we wasn't used to that. We wasn't used to the shooting and killing of the Caucasians, and because they were always one that's victorious. So we had a chance to be victorious and to show what we can really do, and we jumped at that. And directors, they put that on screen because that would attract the audience, and I know that attracted me.
What's the trouble, officer?
There's plenty of trouble for you, Spook. Unless you turn right around and go back where you came from. This road's closed.
Oh, yes, sir. We sure don't want no trouble.
And neither do you, Whitey?
Well, sir, I sure don't.
The audience really saw people like Pam on screen, and they just loved it. I mean, it was just something that we wasn't used to seeing. The box offices were big. They saw that black films were making money, and the black audience were just flocking and loved somebody like Pam, because Pam was she was an icon, and she was one of the top female action queens there was, and that was something that the black audience just loved. And Jack would just put it there. I mean, Coffee and Foxy Brown, that was two big hits. Matter of fact, and working with Pam was just absolutely a sensation. Matter of fact, I did the original Gangsters, and she was in the original Gangsters too. And she did some stunt work on that. And I had her beating up some guy, hitting him in the face with a trash can. And so she did really good. And I don't know, she just amazed me.
You think you're back in with those people, but they gotta stick a dynamite up your ass and the fuse is burning. You understand me? Now I want you out. Oh, you pig! Who does she think she is?
Well, that's my sister, baby. And she's a whole lot of woman.
Pam was the first, as far as I'm concerned. Pam was the first one to present action films on screen like that. And Tamara Dodson came along afterwards with Cleopatra Jones, which I worked in also. But my favorite was Pam of all time. I mean, she was just, every man just drooled over Pam. She was sensational. And she handled her fights very well. Her action scenes were dynamic. Tamara Dodson was good too, but I wouldn't compare it with Pam Grier. Pam Grier was the best as far as I'm concerned. Yeah.
Sister, I think what you're asking for is revenge.
You just take care of justice, and I'll handle the revenge myself.
As well as black actors were getting into the film industry, a lot of black directors were making films. There are people like John Singleton, which I did the original Boys in the Hood. I was a stunt coordinator of that show. I think after that, I did Poetic Justice with John Singleton. Higher Learning. Baby Boy. I did Baby Boy with John Singleton. There's Ernest Dickerson's. I did Surviving the Game with him. And Gary F. Gray, I did Set It Off, the movie Set It Off, which had a lot of good actors in that movie. Mario Van Peebles, I was second unit director and stunt coordinator on Posse with him. So I worked with a lot of Afro-American directors, and getting into that black era I think was really exciting.
Oscar's with the neighborhood committee.
Yeah, what kind of committee?
The Anti-Slavery Committee.
Slavery?
Yeah, you see, we're in the process of abolishing what we call new slavery. That's the slavery of hard dope, man. You dig?
I sure do.
I started off at the time, and then in 1970, I became a member of the. I was up for a movie. When I did come back to Charleston Blue, I was asked, was I interested in becoming a member of the Stuntmen's Association of Motion Pictures? The Stuntmen Association of Motion Pictures consisted of about at least 150 Caucasian stuntmen. And so I told the guy, I said, yes, I'd love to. He said, I tell you what I do when we get back to LA, I'm gonna put you up as membership. And he put me up for membership. My name came before the board. I passed. I went through. They said, but you're still not a member yet. And I said, no. And so they said, I tell you what you do. You're gonna have to go on a year's probation. And after the year passed, they had a vote. Of course, when they voted, then they told me I was officially a member of the Stuntmen's Association of Motion Pictures. And I was so happy I didn't know what to do. That was such a great moment for me. It's a historical moment, number one. The first Afro-American in the Stuntmen's Association of Motion Pictures. And not only that, it was on KGFJ radio for at least 1 week, announced 3 or 4 times a day. Bob Meyer, the first Afro-American in the Stuntmen's Association. We salute him and yell, and we give our thanks and appreciation for that.
Super bad.
The party's over, Oscar. Let's go.
Hey, 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 Foxy. Oh, Miss Foxy Brown. Oh, girl, you're the kind of woman. Oh, let your man down. Hey, 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 Foxy. Oh, Miss Foxy Brown. Oh, girl, you're cute and sweet. No, but you don't play around.